how might influence how you're interacting with the children or how you're making decisions about what you're doing in your class. So what Dina's saying is that someone might come and ask you, these are the assessors who will be coming to visit us in the, we're not too sure, it could be in a month, it could be in 6 weeks, it could be in 6 months' time. So we're not particularly sure when they'll be here, but they will be here sitting in on programs, sitting in on lessons, and maybe asking you some questions about what you're doing or why you're doing something. So that's really where it's important that we know our policies and procedures. And if you do have any questions, definitely speak to myself or anyone else who you think might be able to help out. Diddy, if you're working with the after-school care or with the tuition kids. Now, if you do have any feedback on these policies and procedures, it's really, really important that you let us know. A lot of these changes at the moment have come about over the past few weeks, and we haven't had the opportunity to physically implement them yet. So there is going to be a bit of an adjustment period. It's not set in stone, and if you have any feedback, if you think that something might be done in a better way, then please let us know. There is a suggestion box at the front, so you can also remain anonymous as well. So please let us know if you have any feedback. We want to hear it. We want to improve. Now, so as I was saying, speak to Naomi during office hours or myself during the after-school care hours. Now, the program that we're going to be running, it aligns with the Australian framework, which is My Time, Our Place, which is for school-aged children. There are copies available in the office. This is probably more applicable for the educators. Instructors, this won't be a primary focus for you, and the tuition girls, it's not necessarily an area that you need to be well versed in. Diddy will be able to help you in those areas. So our time, my time, our place, I will be going through with the educators a little bit later, and we'll be seeing how that influences what we're doing with the kids and the kinds of learning that we can see happening. Now, probably the biggest change that will be happening visually, I guess, that you'll be able to see, is that we're moving from a clubs structure where children come, go to a club and go home. Now, from this term, we will be operating as a out-of-school hours care. And part of that means that it's really important that the children who are in our care have some choices, that they don't just come specifically for one club, which will now be referred to as incursions. They will come, they will be signed in to a kids lounge. They could also be signed into a club or an incursion, and they do have the option, say for example, they really weren't feeling like doing karate or mosaics, or they just weren't into it that day, then they would possibly have the option to go and relax in the kids club, or maybe do something that wasn't within that incursion. So the idea is that we've got our kids lounge. Do we have our kids lounge people here? Yes, thank you. Now, kids lounge, that's more of your typical out-of-school hours care. You know, there might be art, craft, they go out for outdoor time, and kids will be signed into the session 1, 4:15 to 5:15, or session 2, 5:15 to 6:15. Now, in addition to that, children have the option to go to an incursion, which is where our incursion instructors come in. Now, because we're operating under these regulations, we need to have Certificate 3 either working towards or qualified staff members to help contribute to the ratio. So that is where our brand new educators, our Certificate 3 and working towards girls, that's where you come in. Now, Diddy and myself, we are both, I'm actually a primary school teacher. I taught at Yeshiva, teaching at Beth Rivka, and I also hang around the GLC Kinders a bit, and Diddy as well, who's diploma qualified. We are the qualified teachers, which means that there needs to be 2 of us in order to look after 60 kids, 1 to 30. For the Certificate 3 staff, you'll be looking at one working towards, or Cert 3 staff member will be looking after 15 kids, and the instructors, you will be there to help supervise and to provide, obviously, the instruction of the incursion. The Certificate 3 staff will be helping with some documentation of children's learning and things like that. So at 4 o'clock, let me get this up on the big screen. So at 4 o'clock, when children start arriving, I will be in the... Children will arrive and they'll go straight to the Chabad Youth Reception. That's where I'll be, and I think that there'll be someone who'll be assisting me to sign in and sign out. From this term, I will be signing in each child. So anyone who comes, anyone who is attending must come through the Chabad Youth Reception. I will sign them in.
Even the kids coming for Diddy's program, or do they get signed?
So, yeah.
Okay.
I'll do everyone. And any medication, for example, asthma puffers, any medication that's brought will be handed in to me. Between 4 and 4:15, they will go to the kids' lounge. Now at 4:15, the instructors, you're setting up your rooms. You won't be collecting the children. The educators, which are the Cert 3 working towards staff, the educators, they will be collecting the kids, the children who are attending the knitting or the chess. They will be collecting those children from the kids' lounge, which is located downstairs. I'll be able to show you around, but it's downstairs near the big theatre. They will be collecting the children from the kids' lounge and taking them to the Session 1 incursion. The educator and the instructor will be there for the incursion, and then at 5:15 the educator will then return with the children, and the educators, you'll also need to get, it's like a box, we're calling it a program kit. It's a box with all of your gloves, hand wash, water, cups, band-aids, no, I have band-aids, tissues, those kinds of things that you might need. And then at 5:15, kids get brought back to reception. The kids who are going home, I sign out. So no one is to leave without coming through me first. It's really, really important that we don't have anyone going off with their friends' parents, or, mum said it was okay that I ride the bike home. Okay, I need to make sure that they are going where they need to go, whether it's being collected by mum, walking home, walking out to the car, or going to another club. So I guess it's my responsibility and on me to make sure that those kids are going where they need to go. Anyone who is staying for session 2 will go down to the kids' lounge again, and they will be collected from there for the next session. The Diddy's girls doing tuition, the kids will come straight down to you and come back to reception. Diddy's program runs a little bit differently to the clubs, so I think that one will take a bit more fine-tuning. The instructors, you'll be able to set up your room, so please make sure that that's done before the kids arrive, so that the educators can come in and get started. So with the attendance records, it's a legal requirement. As I mentioned, I will be signing in, signing out all children. This is, we will need these attendance records in the case of an emergency, so that we know who is in the building and who is not. So if a parent comes to the club to collect their child, please refer them both directly to me and I'll make sure that they're signed out correctly. Now, behaviour guidelines. I think we're on to the second page. Now, we have established, when you arrive, you'll see some posters or some, in your kits, the behaviour guidelines, things like, we keep hands, feet and other objects to ourselves, we listen to the speaker, we treat others respectfully. Now, in the event that those kinds of things aren't going to plan, these are the guidelines that will be followed. Now, it can be done by the instructor or the educator. Probably best if the instructor continues with the class and the educator can step in and have a chat with the child who, isn't necessarily doing the right thing. So the first step, and it's really, really important that we follow these in the right order, because the kids will get really upset if we jump a step. They don't like that. So if the child's not following directions, if someone's being rough or they're not speaking appropriately, first we issue them with a warning.